A hospital procurement director in Tokyo is staring at a maritime tracking map. He wants to, can you do me a favor? Don't interrupt me for 2 sentences.
2 sentences? Okay, great. Done.
All right. The dot he's watching is a specialized 40-foot container detouring around the Cape of Good Hope. Inside is liquid helium, sitting at minus 269 degrees Celsius.
That's 2. And that's the code.
The shipping agreement on his desk treats it like lumber or car parts. A delay just means it arrives late. But that container is essentially a giant thermos, and it's only rated to hold temperature for about 40 days.
Is a ticking clock.
After that, the liquid boils into gas. A pressure valve triggers, and his cargo vents into the sky. He isn't managing a delayed shipment. He's watching his inventory evaporate into the atmosphere.
You call it evaporation into the atmosphere.
Yeah, gotcha. Here it comes.
In 1833, it was a bilge pump emptying into the Indian Ocean. Frederick Tudor loaded 180 tons of Massachusetts ice into a ship.
Oh, the Ice King?
Packed with sawdust, bound for Calcutta. The exact same physical clock. The maritime agreement assumed it was moving.
A commodity.
Ordinary freight. But when a storm added a month to the voyage, the ice didn't arrive late. It became water and the crew.
And the crew was using the bilge pump in the Indian Ocean to pump the water out of the hull. It's amazing.
Pumped the owner's equity out the side of the hull. When the delay was long enough, the ship docked empty.
180 tons.
Correct. Calcutta went into what they literally called an ice famine. And, the story goes, local doctors had to write medical permits to ration the surviving fragments.
No way.
The paperwork hasn't changed in 2 centuries. It still prices time as a late fee. Not once in the record has a marine underwriter paid out for a phase change. The policy calls it
inherent vice.
Inherent vice.
That ship didn't dock empty.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Which part did I get wrong?
That 1833 ship landed with 100 tons still solid.
Oh.
It was a total triumph.
Thank you. I don't know why I made that more dramatic.
That's all right. It's a nice story.
We needed a different drama.
And that's exactly what makes the modern game so vicious. Tudor was shipping a luxury to an empire.
Yes, the colonials wanted iced tea.
If half his cargo became water, he just charged the British colonials double for the ice that survived. He could afford your inherent vice because the evaporation just gave him pricing power. But the guy in Tokyo isn't selling drinks. He's feeding a machine that needs a hard physical minimum to survive.
That's the whole problem.
You can't double the price of a brain scan to cover the helium that vented off the coast of Africa. If that tank arrives with the volume below what the magnet's bath requires, the machine starves and the tool risks permanently wrecking itself. Tudor was managing a margin. Our guy is trying to stop a structural collapse.
That I concede. Tudor was monetizing the melt, whereas a quenched magnet is a binary state. There's no such thing as a partially
functional magnet.
Right. You either have enough or you don't. So if a partial delivery is functionally 0 to his hospital, what is moved while that ship is still somewhere off the coast of Africa?
He picks up the phone to Iwatani, Japan's biggest distributor, but there's no idle liquid helium sitting in a warehouse. Every liter inside the border already belongs to someone else's contract.
Oh, wow.
So he isn't buying a commodity, he's bidding to break an agreement. He asks the distributor to short a semiconductor fab's allocation this Tuesday so his magnets survive. He takes a shipping delay off the coast of Africa and turns it into a factory halt in Kyushu.
He has to force?
He has to break something because the piece of paper won't do it.
Right. And I should be precise about the marine policy.
Wait, you're correcting yourself?
I'm getting ahead of you.
Go on.
An underwriter would gladly pay for a phase change if a physical peril caused it. If a wave smashes the compressor, he gets a check.
Right.
But the standard clause strictly excludes loss caused by delay. Even if a war forced his ship around the Cape, the delay itself is what fired the valve. The exclusion holds, and he eats the loss.
He eats the loss.
So he goes to the domestic distributor and buys a default. You call it turning a maritime delay into a factory halt.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanism is older than a semiconductor. The man whose physical plant dies forever will always outbid the man who just loses a Tuesday shift.
That's it. That's it.
He isn't merely buying the fab's gas.
No.
He is buying the fab's ability to safely pause. A fab that plans its downtime loses a shift. A magnet that loses its bath loses itself.
But look at the map he's actually staring at this week. This isn't theoretical.
Right.
He isn't delayed by a storm. The Suez is effectively blocked by Houthi drones, and the Strait of Hormuz is choking under a naval standoff between the United States and Iran.
So the stuff he had already ordered, it's already on the water, he can't get to it.
The global fleet is dragging itself around South Africa, adding a hard 14 days to the route. His tank is rated for 40. The voyage is now longer than that. The weapons in the Middle East never touched his hull.
They didn't have to. When the cargo holds its own stopwatch, you don't need to sink the ship.
Yeah, you don't even have to light it up.
You just have to stretch the route until physics does the work for you.
And physics does worse than empty the tank. It traps the container.
Worse.
There's a strictly finite global fleet of these 40-foot cryogenic ISO tanks. They're the only objects on the planet that can move this material.
Sure.
When you add 14 days to the delivery around the Cape, you also add
14 days too.
You also add 14 days to the empty return trip. You haven't just vaporized the inventory, you've absorbed the world's carrying capacity into the ocean. So the procurement chief at that Kyushu fab doesn't just sell her Tuesday allocation to our hospital because the cash is good. She sells it because she realizes her next month's supply physically cannot reach her. The exact steel boxes she needs to book her next delivery are currently stuck off the coast of
Senegal.
She is monetizing her own factory's downtime to survive a hole in the water.
When the first refrigerated ship to make the New Zealand run, the Dunedin, left in 1882, the hull wasn't just transport.
It was the plant.
It was the only functioning industrial freezer on the route. If a headwind stretched her return trip by a week, the slaughterhouse at Totara Estate didn't just
Log a late delivery.
They had to physically stop killing sheep. The pasture backed up because the market's entire physical capacity was trapped.
Under sale.
Under sale. Your Kyushu procurement chief takes the cash because she knows exactly what the slaughterhouse knew. Without those specific steel boxes coming back empty on schedule, her next delivery physically cannot exist. She halts her Tuesday because the map already took her Wednesday.
He saved his magnet today.
Yeah, sure.
But he hasn't closed the tracking map. The dot off Senegal isn't his inventory anymore.
No, it isn't.
His helium is currently being trucked out of that dark semiconductor fab in Kyushu. The dot is just an empty steel box with a blown valve.
Right.
He's still watching it because he realizes your slaughterhouse dynamic applies to the return trip too.
You bet it does.
That empty thermos has to drag itself all the way back around the Cape just to get in line at the liquefaction plant for his next quarter's order. He bought his Tuesday, but the water just confiscated his December. The shipping contract on his desk says he owns a delivery of gas. But what does that paper actually mean when the entire global fleet is spending an extra month every cycle just sailing empty?
The paper means exactly what an oil contract meant in Pennsylvania in
What was that?
2 years after they struck crude at Titusville. They were pulling it out of the ground faster than they could move it. The bottleneck wasn't the oil, it was the oak.
Oh, the barrels.
During the first glut, the empty wooden barrel cost 20 times more than the crude it was meant to hold.
Oh my God.
The commodity wasn't.
Wasn't the energy anymore.
Right, the commodity was the container. He thinks he's buying a gas, but the map just absorbed the carrying capacity. The only thing that actually matters now is the steel.
That's a great one.
So if he actually understands what game he's playing, he stops calling the gas distributor and calls Gardner Cryogenics in Pennsylvania.
They
build almost every 40-foot liquid helium ISO container on Earth. Watch their order book.
Okay.
If the lead time for a new Gardner tank hasn't stretched past 2 years by March, then nobody actually believes this Cape detour is permanent.
I gotta see it.
But if it has stretched, our procurement director just realized he isn't in the healthcare business, and he isn't in the helium business. He's in the logistics business, and he's heavily short a steel thermos.
He woke up trying to save a diagnostic magnet, and he goes to sleep bidding against a microchip plant for a welded vacuum tube from Pennsylvania.
From Pennsylvania, yeah.
You're right. The gas is noise. The geometry is the asset.
Yeah.
But if Gardner's waitlist is already 2 years long, he cannot queue. He has to find an empty container sitting on a dock in Rotterdam today and buy the steel right out from under the guy who still thinks he just owns a late delivery.
You buy it out from under him while he's still looking at the paper, because you're looking at the valve.
Yes.
He's waiting for a delayed shipment. You know the ship is already empty. The map stretched, the valve fired, the water took the capacity, the gas is already in the atmosphere. You own the steel or you own the weather.